This week's episode, our guest is Ben the Bane Davis. Gatsby and I met Ben in 2022 when he was working his first day at the House of Comedy Comedy Club during Ryan Long's show where I was doing a guest spot. And afterwards, when I was hanging out with the crew, we started talking about UFC. Ben loved UFC. I loved UFC. We hit it off immediately, and we've remained good friends ever since. Ben was one of the first guests we actually had on the podcast last year in 2023. And it was good to have him back to catch up with everything he's been up to since the last time he's been on the podcast, including 2 fights, one of which was a grappling match on CFCC, which was on UFC Fight Pass, and also his boxing match with Anderson Silva's son that was in England for Misfits Boxing. Ben is also a commentator across the MMA world, and his rise has been really fun to watch, and it was really exciting to get him back during his busy schedule. I think this is a fun episode for anyone that listens. This is the Funny Truth Podcast with your host, Adam J. And please remember to subscribe wherever you get your podcasts. Leave a comment, leave a review. Let us know what you'd like to see, guests you'd like me to have on. And other than that, enjoy this episode.
That is the funny truth.
Amazing event later tonight. Adam J versus Gatsby for the overweight championship.
I got a few pounds on him.
But like normal SpongeBob, same situation.
Yeah.
He got Neuralinked.
Yeah, I was actually doing an interview for a job at Target, and they're like, "What are your strengths?" And I just fucking showed them the Pythagorean theorem right there.
Just did a handstand push-up, and they were like, "We need you."
Door guy.
Stalker. You're going to be crushing these shelves.
Overnight stalking.
Yeah.
I don't want you talking to the people.
Yeah.
I'm going to keep you away from all of our customers, but we can use you. Do you think they have like drafts, like Target, like NFL Target drafts, where they're like, all right, man, I mean, Glendale location, we want Adam.
You bring him in.
We'll give you a 4th-round pick next hiring session.
And then they trade like cash considerations, but the employees don't get any of it. It's just a company.
higher ups.
Yeah.
They used to do that like at Walgreens, like when a store would shut down. We'd be like, okay, I heard they were good. Let's try to pick them up. And anybody that was like ass, they would just not even call them.
It's like an ant colony. You know what I mean? Like when you crush an ant colony, all of them disperse, and it's like, oh, we gotta find a different.
We gotta find the closest colony.
We gotta find the closest Walgreens. I gotta, get my shitty minimum wage job back.
Pretty much.
That's like, to me. I feel like if I was, and I have worked in those spots, but like if I got fired from one, to me that would be the, rock bottom. I got to change things around, not go find another minimum wage shitty job.
Yeah, don't trade.
Don't trade same for same.
Don't,
dude. I've seen. I saw this post that said something about start your own LLC, hire yourself as an employee, fire yourself, collect unemployment, repeat.
Open a line of credit, get $50K in a business loan, then open another LLC. That's all those TikTok fraudulent investors. That's 100% the shit that they peddle. And I'm like, if you follow that logic, you will be in federal prison for a decade. Like, you will not, you're going to be cooked.
Well, that's if you stick around in the U.S. I mean, you could always leave.
No extradition in Venezuela or some shit. I'm not sure. I haven't looked into it because I'm not a criminal. Yeah. I don't need to know which countries extradite to the U.S. because I'm not going to break any laws here.
Correct. I mean, but if you did, I don't know if it's breaking the law. Is it breaking the law?
What?
Doing that?
Committing fraud?
Is that?
I think so. I'm pretty sure that's one of them.
I think fraud is pretty up there.
One of the 12 laws that you can't break in the United States.
Just because it's white collar doesn't mean it's not a crime.
I would love to be a fly on the wall for like that definition session where they went, okay, this is a white collar crime. Why is it called white collar?
Yeah.
That doesn't feel
like
important.
a shirt collar?
Literally, yeah. It's
like a white dress shirt versus
yeah. That's just what you wear to court that day.
A blue denim dress shirt is your work. I don't know.
Who knows? The first person that committed it was just a guy in a JP Morgan shirt, and they're like, white collar.
White collar crime.
It's fucking Dave.
Well, it's PR. I mean, that's what it is.
JP Morgan committed the first white collar crime. That's how he started the business.
So, do you know what the JP stands for?
No.
It's James Penis. I'm kidding. I don't know.
I was gonna guess James Pierce.
James Pierce. That does sound on point.
I could be
but
right.
Who knows?
Okay, so it's been like a year since you've been on the podcast. and we took a little break from running a podcast. But you've been all over the place. You've been in 2 fights, 1 grappling match.
Yep.
I watched both of them. Was there any lines anywhere to bet on your fights?
There was, for the Misfits one, for my fight with Gabe Silva, there was a line somewhere. It wasn't like a legit book. It was some offshore.
I feel like I saw
bullshit.
it on Google because I was like,
Yeah.
Can I bet on
I bet on Ben? Which one would you have bet on? Would you bet on me or Gabe? Answer on.
I would have bet on you because I know the line was going to be like plus. It had to be like plus 10,000. If
like
somebody was a good handicapper, they'd be like, yeah, plus 10,000.
I was plus 650.
Plus 650.
That's
Yeah.
not even. That's enough.
Not terrible.
That's not
Honestly, it
enough.
should have been wider. It definitely should have been like in the range of plus 1,500 or something.
Right,
something like
and there's no value betting on a guy minus 1,000.
No. But, the good thing about my competitive career so far is you could watch it in a bathroom break. Like, it is very quick.
Oh, dude, the grappling match that looked painful, dude.
I was in a boot for 6 weeks. My foot was
That looked
fractured.
really, really painful.
Your tap out looked, and maybe we could put the clip up.
Yeah, we got to.
But like,
Relive this.
But like, yeah, it looked like in his eye, like he was kind of pissed off and was like, "I'm gonna show him that this is not a fucking joke."
Yeah, I'm not here to play around with you little Twitter media guy. Like, all right, Brad. Brad, who went 7.5 minutes with Clay Guida and had him in the same straight ankle lock and could have finished him, but CFFC has a policy where you can't leg lock UFC fighters because if they got an upcoming bout, you don't want to damage them like I was damaged. So it's like he's that good. Brad is, and nobody realized that. Nobody realized Brad was a legit fucking black belt. And so 5 days notice, flew out there. I had a free weekend. And I told him not to leg lock me. That was the one instruction I gave. Please don't. And he immediately did that, which I do think is fun. The whole thing is funny. I wish they compensated me for the X-rays and the boot and that whole process. That would have been nice, guys. But I can't hate him too much for it. It's a fun opportunity.
You need Aflac, dude.
I know. I needed some insurance.
Top dog.
But yeah, I mean that was. I thought that went really well, all things considered. It's actually funny. When I learned that my foot was broken, I was working at House of Comedy. I was doing a shift, and I was limping because it hurt so fucking bad. And like Steph, and I believe at the time Heather was still there, they were like, "Are you okay?" And I was like, "Well, they told me I was fine." And then I get a call from the urgent care, and they were like, "Hey, we actually reviewed your X-rays, and your foot is fractured. We need you to come back for a boot." And shout out HOC. They let me leave my shift, go get a boot, and then come back and finish my shift.
How gracious of them.
How nice. But yeah, the CFFC one, good time. I'd be down to do it again. I've talked to them before. Actually, like 2 weeks ago, their CEO reached out and was like, "You want to get back in there?" So I'll probably...
Really?
Yeah, I'll probably get back in there.
Now, are you actively training still?
Of course not. Why would I? There's no point for me to actively train. I genuinely, I don't have the ability to prioritize it because if I was spending more time either training jiu-jitsu or striking, that would take so much away from my broadcasting career, which is my focus.
Dude. It's because I've had memberships at fighting gyms, and it's like, even if you're just going to become move up a belt or something, it takes so much commitment. You have to be there damn near every day.
Every fucking day. And I would love to because I truly enjoy martial arts and learning it, and it's a fantastic workout, especially submission wrestling and jiu-jitsu. And I still have membership. I got a membership to Fight Ready, which is Cejudo's gym, Gastelum's gym. I just have the open mat, $50 a month, so I can just go in there, hit a bag whenever I'm in town and leave.
No classes, though?
They don't let me do the classes.
No classes?
Well, I do. I mean, Bryce Logan, who's a fantastic lightweight, he runs their noon classes. He'll let me hop in. But
I think one of the most underrated shows that could give you a good perspective into that world is the Kingdom show.
Absolutely. Navy Street, baby.
Dude, that show with
Alvy Kalina. Yeah, Frank Grillo. One of the Jonas brothers was in that, right?
Kevin Jonas, right?
KJ.
Was it Kevin Jonas?
KJ.
Yeah, he's like the main character.
Yeah. Oh, you know Kev.
Yeah, he's like the owner of the gym's son, who's like the the guy that's gonna like bring them a title in whatever fucking thing.
Yeah.
They're not doing. They're not even doing UFC. They're doing like
regional MMA. They never explore like the actual organization. It's just like the training and then Jay Kalina's drug addiction for 3 seasons.
Yeah.
And Kevin Jones is what really bothered me about Kingdom is the ending is so rushed. You've seen it, so you know exactly what I'm about to say. They shoot Kevin Jonas in the penultimate episode, the second to last episode, and then they just breeze by it. And I think it's Alvy Kalina, the older, Frank Grillo guy, has this last championship match, his $1 million payday, and then the show just ends. And you're like, that all happened in the span of maybe 45 minutes of runtime.
Well, they needed it's kind of like what they did with Rocky. We don't know if we're getting another. We don't know if we're getting another one. And so they run it back with him and Apollo Creed, and it just ends.
You know what's crazy? I've only seen the first Rocky movie.
Really?
I've not seen 2 through 5.
Really?
I think there's 5. I watched the Creed films. I like those.
Yeah,
But
we were talking about that. You were like, you don't want to watch Creed because I was like, there's no Rocky in it.
he's in it,
but not the new ones, not the newest one,
not the third one.
Yeah. Which I was like, I actually ended up watching it, but I wasn't interested. I was like, is Rocky in it? Nah.
Did Creed 3 make you more interested after learning about Jonathan Major's like abuse?
No, I don't know anything.
How much of a monster he is?
I don't know anything. I don't know anything about that. I just heard he's the guy that he fights, right? He's like the what was the guy's name? It was Dame. Dame was Jonathan Major's character.
Yeah.
It wasn't acting. He just showed up on set, and they were like, "This guy is a actual predator."
Okay. So what was his deal? What did he do?
Don't know. No, so I think the situation was like domestic abuse involving his girlfriend. There's like this video that came out of him sprinting away from his girl, like some CCTV of him running away from his girl one night. And there's no context to it. I never learned.
It's just him running away.
It's just him sprinting away. And then Disney dropped him. His agency dropped him immediately. Again, this guy was king. This was the next big thing for Marvel. And then he fumbled it within 6 months by having this entire assault situation play out. So
I think the most impressive part of that video of him running down the street is he's doing it in like 1920s outfit that he always wears off set for some reason. He always dressed like he's from the 1920s.
He's dressing like a Titanic, conductor or some shit. Yeah, it's like John. But he was cooking. I mean, you put that guy in the NFL Combine. I think John Majors could be a valuable addition to like the Raiders or the Chargers. Someone sign John.
You got to look for the organizations that take in those kind of guys, like the Browns.
So all of them.
The Raiders.
What team does Chandler Jones play for? John Jones's brother.
I thought he played for the Cardinals last I heard.
I thought he.
But
John Majors on the Cardinals.
Is he still even in the league?
I don't think so.
Don't think so. I think he just retired actually.
Did he play for the Cardinals? Yeah, he played
did.
for the Cardinals. Yeah, that's right.
He had like all-time fumble recoveries or like all-time. He had a big.
He had like a really
he had a pretty good career.
Yeah,
he's
he's actually a really good player.
Yeah,
PED issues aside, this kid was everything.
yeah. I think
CTE damn.
I think John Jones is like the perfect example of because it's just like with soccer in the U.S. where our best athletes don't play those sports, at least in the male. Female soccer is really good, but
Female soccer's alright.
But like UFC, you got to be a little bit crazy to want to do MMA in the first place, because like that's so scary. Even that's why I asked you before your fight. I was like, "Are you scared?" And you're like, "No." I'm like, "You should be." Like,
I mean, the reason I wasn't.
bro.
Thanks, Adam. Yeah, that's my pep talk for my buddy Adam J. You're gonna die, dude.
No, it wasn't that. It's just like
So I found a betting line on you. Anyways, you should be scared.
I've laid a lot of money against you.
well, it's more like you use that to like your advantage, like too calm or something in there is like that. It could be like stand up. I don't feel it that much anymore, but like when I first started, the nervous energy made me perform better.
Gives you a why. Gives you an edge.
Versus when I was like just like this is gonna be easy, and I'd go up there and eat shit.
Well, I think it's the reason why I was so calm about the fight was because I knew basically what was going to happen. I believed I could beat Gabe, but I think we all understood that if you run that fight 99 times out of 100, I'm getting knocked out the same exact.
So
way
did you got knocked out?
I was out for a good half second. So when he clocks me with that left hook at the end, I thought it was a body shot, hence why I dropped my right elbow and take it just directly on the chin.
Yep.
When I hit the canvas, I was like, all right, I'm still here. And if they gave me a standing 10 count, I could have made it. I don't disagree with the stoppage, but I definitely would have appreciated making it to the second round. I think that would have been really funny.
That would have
been
if
funny.
I survived to the second round.
That would have been the prop to bet would not be you winning or anything. It's
Just
like
make it to round 2.
Yeah, like something that because I thought there's no way Ben's gonna win, but Well, I mean,
Thanks, buddy.
well, I mean,
being realistic, but
well, if I was looking at it from that, but like, of course, I want you to win. Like, I was up early. Wasn't it in England?
Oh, dude, yeah, it was a weird time. I
fucking
Mountain Standard.
I fucking bought Dawson or whatever the fucking thing's called,
zone.
just to watch it, and I was like, okay, how do I cancel this?
That did almost it made me feel a little bad at times when I would hear that, like, oh, people bought the subscription, they're like really invested in it, and I'm like, damn, I mean, you could have just watched the highlights.
Yeah.
Like, I appreciate it.
could have caught it on Twitter.
Straight up, yeah. The whole fight was on Twitter very quickly afterwards. But like, and that's another thing I would absolutely do again. Like, a boxing match was not something at the beginning of 2023 I thought I'd be getting into, but was a really fun experience. I thought outside of the fight, it was all me, baby. I mean, I was cooking him in the press conference.
Oh, yeah.
Cooked him at the ceremony of weights.
Yeah.
Like, anytime we had a verbal battle, I was destroying him.
You had the best sound bites, yeah.
Yeah, and like, honestly, the analytics that were generated from it, because we got to remember, there's some very big creators and names that fight in Misfits. And on that card especially, guys with millions of subscribers. But I was one of the few that really outperformed. I mean, the Open Workouts had 1 million views on it. My video did. ESPN put up my knockout. That got 10 million views. So I was like, listen, there's some real good substance that warrants me competing on this. People tune in. And I don't bring up the numbers to sound like a entitled douchebag.
No.
But I'm like, listen.
Dude, that's literally with anything, because there's always going to be the purists that are like even the people that hate on Jake Paul or Logan Paul for what they do, which I don't think Jake Paul's a bad boxer at all.
He's a good boxer.
But he trains all the fucking time. He should be good, right?
If you've committed 7 years of your life and you've got infinite resources and can bring in the best sparring partners, the best coaches, automatically you're going to be good at it. That's like if we went to MLB and we had the best batting coaches, the best pitching coaches, we would improve over the course of 7 years of dedicating.
Yeah, even
daily
accidentally,
effort.
even if you didn't want to.
What the other?
Even if I was against it, if I was doing it every day,
you're like, fuck, let me just do these. Another home run, whatever.
God's hitting dingers, no worries.
Everything's slowing down now. Got it.
The thing with the Paul brothers, I remember following like Logan Paul when Vine was a thing, and he was like doing backflips in his videos and stuff like that. He was a wrestler. Like, they're already athletic.
Yeah, they were athletic people.
But my point about it is he gets all this shit for being, a YouTuber and all this. I'm like, just look at him as a boxer. Don't worry about what's going on the outside.
I think the criticism from many, and especially myself, is not really about his skill level as a boxer right now. It's about his decision making and who he's choosing his opponents to be.
Well,
I really enjoyed when he was boxing Anderson Silva, when he took on Nate Diaz, as much of a squash match as that was, given the weight disparity. Nate fighting at 155 in the UFC, and Paul always trending in the 180s. I just feel like Tyson is a stupid opponent. Ryan Barrowland is a stupid opponent. Andre August is a stupid opponent because it's just not interesting. You're not going to be a world championship boxer, no matter how much you train. That's not disrespectful. That's just facts. And I think that his best squeezing the juice would have been Anderson Silva-like opponents, and just do that for 5-6 years and then go on to something else. Like I just, all of his statements about being a world champion, I could never get invested in. And then when you fight guys like Mike Tyson, you're just completely going back on your words, which make me even more frustrated.
But even, everyone's going to watch that Mike Tyson fight.
It's going to be the most watched fight in history. It's going to be the biggest boxing match of all time.
You bringing the old people back into it too. They're like, Mike Tyson's fighting again? Like, my childhood.
Why'd you make him Chinese? Mike Tyson is fighting.
He probably has a huge Asian following.
He's got a massive Asian population that follows Tyson's fights.
But there's all the old people like that. Boxing was kind of like, that was a peak of. That's kind of the last time boxing was really big, was probably Mike Tyson.
I mean, it was a big era for sure, 80s, 90s. But the bigger narrative here is that it's on Netflix. It's on a platform that has 260 million plus accounts and subscribers. Like, you're putting that in so many households, and it's just going to be the biggest boxing match of all time. So credit to them. I'd love to see Netflix get more into combat sports. In fact, the UFC is probably heading to Netflix.
That's what I'm seeing.
The ESPN deal. So
that's what I'm seeing.
All these sports are heading to streaming.
Dude. Like March Madness, like some of the games were on HBO Max, some were on Paramount Plus. Like, I had to get all these little subscriptions to watch the games.
Yeah. I forget what I had to download to watch some of the NBA games too. It was like exclusively on Peacock.
Peacock.
Yeah, it was exclusively on Peacock.
They've been doing that with NFL too.
I was just watching them on Pornhub. That's just all the games. Pornhub Game Pass. That should do that. I mean, honestly, think about it. It's the same demographic. Like, you know what I mean? OnlyFans is trying to get
They're trying to get into like a and I've
Yeah.
been rooting for, like, because that's so interesting. It just seems like the obvious next step.
It is. The problem is I don't think they have an iPhone or Android application. It's all just on desktop. So for me, it's very frustrating to like try and support them because you're isolating your accessibility. Which I understand if they can't have an app on the App Store because it's porn. 98% of it is just adult content creators, and I think they're never going to be able to shake that coat that's so tightly wrapped around OnlyFans. I mean, shit. They were doing CFFC prelims. They were doing, I think, Fury Fighting Championship prelims or whatever. So they're getting involved, but I just don't think it's panning out the way that they want, and I don't think it will.
Yeah, just there's too many things in the way because of the branding.
Well, what you would need to do is take that money and buy up another organization with that money that you own.
Yeah.
So and that's what you'll see people do. Like you'll see a grocery store buy out another one. They'll keep that grocery store the way it was and with the branding, but they're now the owners. It would have to be something like that.
I agree with that completely. Actually, I think that would be probably one of the smartest things for them to do. Look at I think it's Barstool. They started the Happy Dad, or no, excuse me, not Happy Dad, but High Noons, the seltzers. I didn't know that they started High Noons.
Yeah.
I had no idea. I like High Noons. Didn't know that they were connected to Barstool. So OnlyFans could do the same exact fucking thing, but choosing it to put it all in one, that's a mistake.
Mm-hmm. OnlyFans shouldn't have only one brand.
Heat.
Yeah.
Heat.
Yeah, but that's just the corporate game. You just start up another brand.
You just come in and drop nice sounding slogans. Just the OnlyFans conference room. OnlyFans shouldn't have OnlyFans. And just applause from every board member.
Yeah.
Did either of you guys watch Ricky Stenicki?
Who's that? That's on.
It's the Amazon Prime. With
I didn't watch it. I heard it's amazing.
Dude, it's a really good movie.
I heard it.
I watched it on the flight back, and there's a small portion of it where John Cena, who plays Ricky Stenicki, just goes into a boardroom, says random fucking shit, and all of these like investment banking executives are like, you know what? He's actually got a really good point. Just shows how fake, you know.
Yeah,
that's like, you ever seen Along Came Polly?
No,
that's an old ass movie, dog.
But you ever seen it?
No, I haven't seen it actually.
Ben Stiller's like a risk analyst, like life insurance, and the whole like side plot aside from the love story is like he's trying to get this business owner like life insurance, but he's like high risk because he does like skydiving and he's always doing this crazy shit. And he has this stupid fucking friend that's like an actor, and everyone like calls him a loser because he really is throughout the movie. But then like it ends up like Ben stops being such a tightwad and like goes for the girl, and he's like, fuck, I have this meeting, and he sends his stupid friend in there who's like the actor, and he goes in there and he's like totally bullshitting and off the cuff, but like convinces the people because he goes into like just like hitting them emotionally.
Philip Seymour Hoffman, that plays a friend. Yeah, because I remember I've seen clips from the movie, and they're like, I feel like that part was made for Jack Black, and Philip Seymour Hoffman was like, fuck it, I'll do it.
He swooped into it.
Yeah.
Jack had
like,
a scheduling conflict, and they were like, Philip, we need you.
Yeah, and he's like, fuck it, whatever. And he just gives his best Jack Black impression.
Yeah, but he crushes it. Like the people are like, what the fuck is this guy? They're working for the company, but he's like, so why not insure him? And slaps down the table, and like they're like, all right, we'll do it.
I like how every Ben Stiller movie has some sort of a romantic B or C plot. I've never seen him in a movie where there isn't some sort of female.
That's a good point. That's
right.
You bring up a good point when it comes to comedy writing. When you're writing screenplays, when you're doing comedy, there has to be a love interest in it. Like there has to be something else. That was one of the things that I read. In like all the books and stuff I went through.
Behind the scenes, this is the industry knowledge.
Gotta have like a love interest to keep it interesting.
What was their reasoning for that? What's the justification?
That's just
it's fresh.
Yeah.
I don't know, man.
Hits the algorithm different.
Well, think about any comedy movie. Is there not some sort of love interest? Like even Anchorman, there's a love interest. Yeah. Step Brothers, there's a love interest.
Talladega Nights, there's a love interest.
We're going all Will Ferrell movies, but
I was going to say Pineapple Express, but there is one.
He has a girlfriend.
Yeah, in high school.
Right? And like,
in the end, or what? Into the end, or what's that James Franco End of the World one?
This is the end.
This is the end. I don't think there's a
even Borat, dude. Pamela Anderson. Like
that's what the driving force of it is.
But like, there's still an element of that in. And so find me a comedy movie that doesn't have that.
To be fair, Ricky. Well, actually, you know what? It does. It did.
It done.
It did.
It done did.
That was a huge part of the movie.
Oh God.
I did see.
Christ.
You know what I did recently? I did just watch the entire Planet of the Apes trilogy.
Me too.
The new one, dude. It's fucking excellent.
So
I haven't
good.
seen the fourth one, but
I just went and saw it. Like I saw all of them, and then I was like, "Well, I'll be goddamn!" Like they're coming out with the fourth one. Marketing really does work, and I went and saw it. It was all right. It was like
that's a bummer that you say that.
If you watched all three of them recently, though, there'll be more for like.
Okay,
it's more like little Easter eggs, but it's a nice setup.
Isn't it like set 100 years after the third one or something?
They
like
say many generations.
Many generations.
Yeah.
I feel like in ape years, what is many generations?
That's a good point. I
don't know how long they
not
live.
good on ape age.
My ape anatomy and ape knowledge is not
Together strong.
Well, I watch a lot of NBA, and
Jesus Christ.
That's a tough transition.
Why'd you transition that way?
That's like something you would ask somebody who's actually transitioned. Why'd you do it that way? Why are you gay?
Why you are gay?
No. So you've been traveling around everywhere. What were you just doing in England?
So I was doing Misfits and DAZN X Series 14, which is a crossover boxing event on DAZN's platform. We had Salt Poppy, who is a pretty established influencer boxer over the last couple of years, taking on. You're like, I have no idea.
Yeah.
Wait, is that the guy who does this with the
That's
salt?
Salt Bay.
That's Salt Bay. Salt Poppy does a rendition of it, but he does a lot more random.
Did he
TikTok.
base his like name off of?
From my understanding, there was a level of influence, but not like one for one.
Yeah.
And he's a great dude. He's from the Philippines, and he's turned himself into a solid boxer, along with a really inspiring weight loss trainer. Like his first fights, he was kind of a thicker dude, a bit heavy, and now he's just slim, lean, mean, and made the guy quit on the stool. We got this pro mixed martial artist named Amadeus Ferrari, who had like 11 mixed martial arts bouts. Is this insane dude? I mean, the whole fight week he was a lunatic. Genuinely, I was scared that he was gonna, because like you see him at open workouts and weigh-ins in Poland, and he's that guy that's knocking people out, throwing flying knees at face-offs. Like that's that type of dude. We brought him to face Poppy, who was on a 2-fight losing streak. If Salt Poppy lost this, I think it would have been over for him in influencer boxing, but looked better than ever. And yeah, that was in London.
Do you think that with like fighters who do that, like knock out their sparring partners, that might be to their detriment? Because like if I'm looking at it, if I'm worth a shit and good at the sport, I'm not gonna go spar with somebody that's trying to knock me out. Because I don't think that getting knocked out in training really helps you. It's only gonna make you worse.
To that extent, yeah, if you're getting like put out cold and flatlined, there's not really much benefit. But I do believe that there's a lot of good that can come from sparring people that are obviously way better than you,
Sure.
your level, and then way below. Like if you get those 3 tiers and you can just alternate back and forth, that gives you every opportunity to test out new things that you learn. And but if people are like knocking you out and really going at you, trying to hurt you in sparring, or
that's not what sparring's about.
No, not at all. It's about learning.
Yeah,
it's about growing. Like you can, if you're better than someone, you should be able to moderate that dial.
Right.
And
that's what, when I would spar, a lot of dudes, when I would do boxing, a lot of them were shorter than me. It's just easy to pick them apart. And then some dudes that were like my size, they might be like, I used to have really good cardio. So I would just pop the jab, but I knew when they would get mad, dude. Yeah. They'd start, you'd see it, you'd catch them once and you'd see like,
a quick reset, and they go, all right.
Yeah, like, dude. I was doing it with one guy, and I was moving around. He's like probably had 50 pounds on me, but he couldn't catch me. And he finally caught me. I could see him, like he was pissed, and he like hit me. My eyesight was gone for like the day.
And then you shot him in the parking lot. It was crazy. It's a wild end of that story. You just mugged him and fucking.
I don't know. Yeah, people. But there's some in philosophy too about sparring. Like a philosopher, somebody talked about like you can learn a lot about someone else when you spar with them, what kind of person they are.
In what sense? Like morals or?
Yeah, like you're saying, like the ability to moderate your emotions and like keep it like civil, because we're here to do this. But
100%. Like especially if you're sparring someone and like that dude, he takes one good punch and he just gets turned on and sees red. You could probably imagine that in other situations in his life, that's his reaction.
Right.
When something doesn't go right, he'll just flip and go crazy.
Correct.
Instead of a calmer dude. My thing is always like, if I'm sparring someone, I'm gonna punch you as hard as you punch me. That's if you hit me a certain level, that's how I'm gonna hit you. because it's fair. I'm not going to turn it up on you and just go crazy and then cry and moan when you respond and reciprocate, right? Like if I want to go hard, we can go hard, but more often than not, it's like, okay, you're going 40%, I'm going to go 40%.
My buddy Sam, his dad was like a ex-pro boxer, and like back home he had this little tiny gym that, we would go and do sparring sessions in, and it would be him and this one dude who's younger. It was just so much fun watching them spar because one of them would get hit and you just see them start going, bro. Somebody was getting dropped.
What's crazy though is like that does teach horrible, behaviors, and like, I don't know if that's your reaction. You get clocked in a fight and you just see red. You're gonna get put out and knocked out like that. It's the dumbest reaction possible when you take a good shot. And if you're building that muscle memory of, okay, every time I get a good lick, I'm gonna go wild. You're not gonna make it far as a mixed martial artist, as a boxer, as any type of athlete.
I think that's what anybody who's trained and like has an understanding of it knows, that it's not about who's tougher or who's. I mean, toughness is important, but like who can get more angry or fired up? Because then you start throwing swings wild, like your chin's up. You're not like you see world star fights. You're like, dude, that'd be so easy to knock some of these dudes out if you knew a little bit of technique.
If you knew a little bit, exactly. I don't know. Those videos are so funny. Street fights or like bathroom fights.
Oh, dude, I lived on World Star fight comps. They'd be like 25-minute videos of and they come out like once a week, and it'd just be like.
You'd be waiting on the drop.
Oh, dude.
Dude, it's got the alerts on.
Yeah. Some of the best knockouts, dude. Some of the best knockouts.
It's funny to imagine like the next day after those videos were filmed, like what was the reaction from the school? Like, oh my god, dude, Kenny got put the fuck out in the second floor bathroom.
I see them here in they have a Scottsdale Instagram of just like
security just Scottsdale shit.
Security guards and like Hi-Fi just laying. It's usually Hi-Fi laying somebody out. Shout out to the people at Hi-Fi. They're awesome.
Yeah, they got to deal with a lot. I went to Mill for the first time in a long time. Several weeks ago with my girlfriend, and I fucking hated it, dude.
Did you see? Awful. Was somebody getting arrested at Fat Tuesday?
I was there for maybe 45 minutes.
Yeah.
I didn't have enough time to observe
it's a lot.
Any scandalous actions. But yeah, it really, and I'm not going to sound like some, again, pretentious old dude, but I was just like, I can't be here, bro.
Yeah.
Like, I'm 24. Like, I don't belong here.
It's funny because you're not old at all, but 24 is too old for Mill.
Absolutely.
Well, yeah.
It's objectively too old. Like, honestly, I feel when you graduate, that's it. You get like one more night, and then you should either rotate to Old Town or just drink at home.
You
don't
want to be
the
guy watching ASU games at fucking Q Club.
The tall boy. Just like, I used to go here.
Yeah.
Like, no.
Forks up.
Got a receding hairline and a polo shirt on.
I feel like the place for an alumni to go will be Devil's Advocate.
No, not even, bro. Not even. It's still down there, deep in those
what about
ASU trenches.
What about like for like I don't know? Cause I went to the University of Oregon games all the time, and there'd be a bar that my dad would always go. We would go to before the games. It reminded me of Devil's Advocate, where they had like the radio people there, like the pregame stuff, and it was like there were college kids, but there was also older people. It was like the melting pot of all the. I feel like Devil's Advocate is that.
I can't be on your side with this one. No, because like the thing is, I would sneak into Devil's Advocate without an ID under 21. You know what I'm saying?
Everybody knew that was the place to go.
Yeah, they don't check at all. You need to fucking start checking. These are children that you're letting in. Me included.
They will go out of business.
Why do you think the Devil's Lager is $5, dude?
Dude,
for a 32 ounce?
Had me a lot of Devil's Lager back in the day.
Yeah, I think that's strictly a comedy thing with the Devil's Advocate being like a.
They got an open mic there, right?
Yeah, that's what it is. So I see where Adam's coming from, but at the same time, I'm like, I fucking hate that place.
Oh well, on a night that's not Monday, dude, it's packed.
Yeah, it is.
There's lines out the door. I don't know. I've just never been to. I went to one ASU game this year when Oregon came to town, but I didn't go. I just tailgated at like their shitty little tailgate spot next to the stadium.
So I think that's fine. Like especially if you're a big follower fan of ASU athletics.
Who is does ASU really even have a great following for any of their sports? I feel like no one cares.
No one cares
unless they're
good.
But
we do have a good baseball team, from what I understand. I remember when I went there. Yeah, we were like top.
Sometimes 25. Our basketball team's not too bad. That's where James Harden.
Did you go to any of the hockey games at Helmet Arena when we had the Coyotes here?
No. I heard they were good.
They were really good.
They were fun.
They're fun.
Know. Yeah, but I'm not a big hockey guy, to be honest with you.
Me neither. But it's still kind of cool to see. I don't know.
It's like it's
too
like
cold.
It is cold.
Chilly.
It is cold.
Yeah, you don't have your whole get up here today.
I know. Yeah, I thought about the turtleneck and the blazer and all that, but I just got back yesterday from London, and I'm like, no, I'm too tired. I think it'd be pretentious if a year and a half after the first episode, I come back the same outfit. Like, nah, you guys get casual.
You ever look at it in your closet like the Batman costume?
I look at it more so like Tobey Maguire Spider-Man, where he's like holding up the symbiote suit, like this is gonna change how I act. I'm gonna behave very differently when this is on.
Do you find yourself doing that though? Like,
of course not.
Putting it on and
it's
just being
an
like,
outfit.
I'm suited up.
I will say this. I do love how it looks. I think it's a pretty solid look. And again, it's basic branding. Like I don't think it takes rocket science to understand why I wear it everywhere. Mm-hmm. I did mix it up though. I mixed it up last week for the first time in years. Okay. I wore a burgundy suit with the turtleneck, and I thought it looked good. I thought it looked all right. So maybe I'm branching away from the black and black, but
it's a classic look.
It's a classic look.
So you have been traveling all around doing announcements. You've been on UFC Fight Pass events.
Yep.
So I mean, that's like so dope because I mean I love UFC, so I'm like he's on Fight Pass. Like, that's maybe a casual wouldn't know.
Casual would not know at all.
No, but like that's pretty dope. And I've seen. Have you worked with like? I've seen you taking pictures, but have you worked with John Anik yet on anything? Have you done?
I've not been able to work with John Anik. I worked with his twin brother Jason on a few APFC shows, and Jason is a terrific color commentator. Such good energy in the booth. Me, Jay, and Bilal Muhammad called a couple
really?
APFCs. Yeah,
you hung out with Bilal Muhammad.
Fantastic.
You think he's gonna get his title shot?
He should. He should have gotten it at UFC 296. It should have been him instead of Colby. But the powers that be value a fucking idiot who can't fight instead of a guy on like a 10-fight unbeaten streak who's knocked off several top 15 welterweights.
But that's also what got you your fights.
Fair enough. I am Colby Covington. I am become who I am.
Yeah, I think Bilal Muhammad. I didn't really know who he was till you were on the podcast last time. And you started like really hyping him, and then I've watched him. I'm like, yeah, he's.
I get if you don't like his style.
No.
I'm not gonna pretend to say that he's the most exciting guy in the UFC.
No. Yeah, he's not really verbal, and then his style is like he wins mostly by decisions. And
usually,
so that's just. We're talking about selling fights, like So that goes back to the purist versus like, man, Colby Covington. If he gets on another card, that's gonna sell.
No, it's not. Not anymore, dog. Come on, what the fuck
don't think
are you talking about?
You don't think so?
What has he done in the last 5-6 years? All of his greatest achievements are losing in undisputed title shots within the UFC. He's beaten Tyron Woodley and Jorge Masvidal since like 2018. That's not impressive. I'm not going to rate that. You got a close decision over RDA for an interim belt and have not done anything since. He's lost to Usman on several occasions, lost to Edwards. The dude's not impressive. All he has is wrestling, and in his last fight, he couldn't even fucking do that effectively. He's an old fucking guy. It's time to hang it up. I'm no longer interested. Instead of calling out Charles Oliveira, which he just did this week, call out guys like Shavkat, guys like Ian Gary, people who are relevant within the division. But instead, he just wants to sit on the sidelines, bitch and moan, get undeserved title shots, and waste everyone's fucking time. So I'm over it. I'm completely over the Covington train. Retire, go sell your dumb, stupid hats, and leave us the fuck alone.
I think his best thing, the most notable thing he's done in the last 5-6 years was when he talked about Edward's dad at the press conference.
Yeah, why would you even do that? Why would you talk all that shit and then not even come up to fight? Not even show up to fight? Like, he looked garbage at 296. And like you mentioned, the dude was crossing lines every way till Sunday. And I don't think it results in pay-per-views. I don't think Colby Covington is as big of a pay-per-view draw as all these dumb, stupid fucking fans think. Not taking a shot at you.
No. I'm not.
No, I've seen so many tweets of yours of just bashing the shit out of Covington.
I do not like him.
Do you have any good Ben tweets?
That's a good one.
That's one of my favorites.
Excuses. It genuinely is. He'll go on about, this was hurting or this training camp issue, and the judges were against me. I mean, he literally has a bag of excuses that he reaches into every loss, yanks them out, and I don't know, dude.
I'll tell you what was interesting. about Trump is because he always talks about how him and Trump, blah, blah, blah. Trump like walked out before they even made the decision.
Yeah. And Trump was backing like other fighters, I think, in the last 2 years or something.
Whoever he was betting on, I'm sure.
Yeah. There's a tweet for that. There's a Ben Davis tweet for that.
There's a Ben Davis tweet for that. There you go.
Colby Covington, 10 and 8'd by Trump.
Where he was like, I made so much money betting against you. My favorite guy, Colby. Very bad fighter.
Dude, at the
imagine, just like arm on his shoulder. Wow, you're just very bad. No, I don't know. I think that like the thing that would have made me love Colby Covington, this is the one thing that could have shifted everything around. I would have been the biggest Colby supporter of all time. If when Joe Biden won and Colby just became the biggest Joe Biden stan, that would have been the funniest fucking thing in history. And I would have been so on board. Because it's all supposed to be a bit tongue-in-cheek. This is a persona, this is a bit, this is a character that's designed to, quote-unquote, as Colby puts it, save my career. So if he just completely flipped it on its head, I would have been about it. But instead he, doubled down and then lost every fight that he needed to win.
Yeah, he's what we were talking about. He was always right up. I think there was a point where he could have been the best, but there was always one fighter better than him that he couldn't beat.
Well, even if he fought Bilal, here's what I would have done if I'm Colby, because I do believe that he came into 296 with some sort of injury that did not look like a Colby Covington-esque performance. I would have been just banging the cage for a Bilal Muhammad showdown because, like you mentioned, Bilal's style is way more oriented to win on the scorecards. And if I'm Colby, I would go, okay, he's on a huge win streak. He's a top 5 welterweight, probably the guy that I could beat. I don't think I'm beating Shavkat. I don't think I'm beating Chimaev.
That would be a really good matchup.
Yeah, so if I'm Colby, I would have been trying to get that. And then if you beat Bilal, there you go. You can get a title shot. I would have less to complain and bitch and moan about. But since you didn't, I've got free reign, baby. I've got nothing but ammunition to...
Well, I know in that business, we've talked about this, Gatsby, my brief sports agent career. When it comes to fighting, as the agent trying to book the fights for your fighters or a manager, you're either looking for a fight, I'm like 90%, 100% confident we're going to win this one, or a fight we'll lose, but we're getting paid a lot, so it's worth it. Yeah. And so that's why you don't get all these dream matchups that you want, because they're either afraid to lose or they don't feel like the money's there. I think Ian Gary would be fun to see Colby, because that'd probably be Colby's last fight. I
think so. I think that would be a retirement. I'm not sure if Ian would knock him out, because Ian's not really the guy that's going to finish these top welterweights. He can finish Daniel Rodriguez and oh God, what was the Pete his fucking debut, the guy with the dumb tattoos that got knocked out by him. Like, he can finish those welterweights. I don't think Ian Gary's going to finish the top guys, but I do think he beats him on the scorecards. Sure. He's as much shit as he gets, and as much as he invites that hostility and animosity, Ian Gary is a very talented fighter and will probably hold a championship at some point in time.
Yeah, I think you see that a lot with this sport, is people get carried away with all the stuff that goes on outside of the cage. That's how they judge them, versus like McGregor, when he was really on the rise and doing his thing, he was so good, he was so phenomenal. Now he's not prime McGregor, he's not prime, like every fighter goes through that, but when he was in his prime, like, he was actually just really good.
Isn't it funny that when people talk about Conor and they say in his prime and when he was so good, that was 2016. Yeah. That was 12 to 16. It was almost a decade. Yeah. Yet people still have this unreal appreciation for it because he was that good, because he was genuinely one of one, and that rise is not something we'll ever see again. But it's always very funny to me how it persists, and people like to have present day conversations, and they want to contextualize it with his past achievements. I'm like, that
and that's why
doesn't work.
That's why on Netflix, Jake Paul will be fighting Mike Tyson.
Nostalgia.
Yeah,
hell of a drug.
Yeah, you got, dude. It's gonna be McGregor Day when he fights. Like, I'm gonna relieve myself of any obligations. Get a bottle.
That's not on the same day though, right? June 29th is Conor, and July 20th is Paul Tyson. Yeah. I think so. But, I mean, and here's the thing. If he actually fights Michael Chandler, I think Chandler's going to TKO him. I don't think Conor wins that. No.
No, I don't think so either.
Yes, has Chandler gone 2-3 inside the UFC and come up short against the top lightweights in the world? Absolutely. But has he been competing against them? Has it been back and forth? He stunned Gaethje. He had some good moments against Poirier. He dropped Charles Oliveira. He's a kill or be killed guy, and the 3 years he's been sitting on the sidelines wanting this McGregor fight, guess what he's been doing? He's been doing his fucking everyday CrossFit programs and this unreal training regime. What's Conor been doing? Starring in movies, having the liquor business in the pub. And no, that's not a knock on it. It's just you're prioritizing different things than your opponent.
It's like you said before, it takes time. It just takes time. And like if you're doing all this other stuff, you're not training.
No. And especially when you're trying to come back from a career-ending injury like Conor is, there's a lot of factors working against him. And when I have these dumb fucking conversations with idiots online that go, oh, but the left hand of Conor. No, dude. He's going to get murdered by Chandler.
Oh, yeah.
And if I'm wrong, I'm wrong. I'm completely fine with saying that. But like everything on paper should be pointing to Iron Mike Chandler devastatingly killing him.
Well, he's, I think right now, last I saw, he was like a plus 100.
It's close line. It was a tight line.
But I mean,
I'm banging money line Chandler.
I'm banging Chandler.
I'm banging Chandler.
Pause. Nope. I think it's kind of the folly and the uneducation of some fans who will let the, again, past accomplishments of somebody influence their thinking.
Is it going to be a 5-round fight?
It's a main event.
Oh, perfect.
Yeah. Conor would not do a 3-rounder. As much as I'd like to see him in one, because I think that favors him a little bit more.
He hasn't done a 3-round fight in so long.
I think literally probably 2015 was the last time he did a 3-rounder. Because everything since then has been main events. It's been 5-5s.
It's probably built into his contract that way.
Yeah, for sure. Which is dumb because it's like, Conor, you're not even going to 5 rounds anymore.
You're not.
Like, why we don't need to. Like I get it. It would be dumb for me to suggest having him as a co-main. That would be dumb. But we do not need him as a 5-round. It's not going to go all 5.
Yeah.
That's my issue with like heavyweight main events. Where you're just wasting a fight night main event.
He's had a hard time going 5 rounds even in his prime.
Conor? Yeah. Well, he had some cardio issues, and like in his defense, everyone likes to cite the Mendez fight, or excuse me, the Diaz fights, and it's like that was I think his first time at 70, and Nate's a frustrating competitor.
Oh, dude, zombie.
Dude,
so
has Nate ever been like knocked out cold?
Yeah, Josh Thompson.
Mm-hmm.
Which I don't even know if that was out cold necessarily, but like he ate that head kick and then the follow-up strikes and
I'm not talking about like a TKO where they pull you off, but like actually like he's unconscious.
That was the closest he's been to like being out cold, but yeah, he's never been flatlined, I don't think. Mm-hmm. I did come across the clip the other day of Tyron Woodley getting highlight reeled by Nate Marquardt way back in Strikeforce, where it's the elbow and then just the vicious uppercuts. I always forget that happened to Tyron Woodley before he went on to like his great UFC run and became a pretty great champion. That he just got melted by, which is that's the funny thing about mixed martial arts and why we can love the sport so much. Is like these losses happen, these setbacks happen, but that doesn't prevent these guys from mounting comebacks and becoming great. Charles Oliveira is another excellent example.
I just always thought it was funny how much Dana White didn't like Tyron Woodley.
Yeah, which is, he
was a horrible. He was a boring fighter. I guess to a casual, he was a boring fighter, and his press conference was cringy, and then his rap music career. Did you ever hear his hip?
Of course.
Holy shit, dude!
I've seen the acting he's done where he gets his dick bitten off by a raccoon. I've seen you saw the leak of him eating someone's pussy?
No.
You didn't see this?
Why is that?
Oh, no. Come on. Bro was munching. Tyron Woodley. T. Wood was
certified muncher.
Certified muncher boy.
Certified muncher boy.
I always have a soft spot for Tyron because, like, the Darren Till fight was...
That's such a funny transition, sorry. Yeah, a certified muncher. Anyways, I have such a soft spot for him.
No, man, like that Till build-up, everybody was riding Darren Till. He was this undefeated challenger.
Mm-hmm. I remember that.
He was the favorite. I'm 99% sure. Maybe I was wrong, but like I'm pretty sure he was lined as the favorite, and doesn't do anything against Tyron. Gets knocked down, then Darce choked. And that Snoop Dogg video where he's like, what exactly was Snoop saying when Tyron was putting? He was putting a beating on Till, and I'm pretty sure Snoop Dogg thought that Darren was Colby Covington because he was like, yeah, fuck that, Trump boy or some shit. It was we gotta put it up and then I'll educate. But I just that was singular moment was good, and then he got destroyed by Kamaru Usman, and that was about it.
That was yeah. It was I don't know. His fights were just not exciting, I guess.
I think I mean I wouldn't sit here and defend it and say, oh, he was this exciting guy. Like he had good moments, I think, singular knockdowns or huge overhands, but he didn't have a good style. Yeah. Like his style was wait, back up, throw an overhand, and hope it lands. And that sometimes worked, but it also led to exactly like some really inactive, low volume fights where you're just sitting there going, The fight with Vicente Luque, where, I mean, he did get subbed, but like he came out, fucking swung. Each guy was getting rocked back and forth. I was like, if Tyron Woodley showed up and fought like that every fight, this guy would be heralded as one of the most action-focused fighters.
Yeah, but it wouldn't play to his strengths necessarily. Where if you're a good points fighter, like Floyd Mayweather made a fucking living off of being a great points fighter, just doing all the right things to win by points. But people in that sport,
people expect something different.
People want to see blood, dude.
Yeah. Of course, in mixed martial arts, especially.
Across the board.
And what's weird is, and I'm not going to pretend to know Floyd's career all that well, but when he was Pretty Boy Floyd, I think way back in the day, he was kind of like putting it on people and handing out beatings, TKOing guys, and then it shifted to Money Mayweather, where it was.
But maybe
as you
get older though too, like I can't
move as quick. I gotta defend and add tools. Look at, I mean, that's why Jim Miller's been so successful. I know he just got the shit kicked out of him at UFC 300.
But he still landed some shots too.
Dude, still got some licks in there, and he was beating up and coming. I don't want to call them prospects necessarily, but younger guys, people that the UFC were probably trying to build off of Jim Miller, and he'd be finishing them. Like, I absolutely adore the evolution of his style, and I hope we see that with a lot of mixed martial artists. But it kind of gets back to what we were talking about. If you're in an environment in a gym where it's unhealthy and toxic, and if we're just hard sparring and we're not really thinking, you're not going to turn out to be a Jim Miller where you've got 50 UFC fights.
Well, yeah, didn't Jim Miller change his coaching like at some point to go somewhere where he could get better?
Probably.
I feel like I heard something. Yeah. But you see that too, like when you're looking at fighters on who to pick. If they train an American top team, probably pretty good. Usually, it's just a good brand, and then you'll see some fighters like, what gym is that?
I was just listening to Jack Slack's podcast, which is a fantastic content creator, and he was talking about Carlos Diego Ferreira and how Carlos's like big story is that he would drive 5-6 hours a day to go, train with the team. And it's like, after so many years of doing that, Carlos, why the fuck wouldn't you just move closer?
Well, yeah, because if he's driving...
It's your job to be in the UFC. So that's... like, what is preventing you from relocating closer to the gym?
If he's driving that much, that's 10 hours, 10 to 12 hours of driving a day, plus training. Where's the money coming from?
It does not make any sense. I'd have to assume sponsorships, but I call bullshit on situations like that, because I'm like... Why would you do that? I could understand if maybe for like a couple months you had to make some real tough commitments. But like if you're at the UFC level and
makes sense.
Yeah, it's weird, but fighting's fun.
Fighting's fun.
Fighting's good.
So you were in Thailand.
Was in Phuket, Thailand for Fight Circus. I was there for about a week and a half. And I think it's really funny that the entire economy of Thailand is basically just sex tourism. That's
what I wanted to ask you about.
I don't know how it I don't know how it's a functioning economy, because there's so many massage parlors, and I'm like, do you guys really get that much foot traffic? Does not make sense to me.
Foot jobs get foot traffic.
Although there's something there.
Dude, all of the people that work at these massage parlors will sit outside on plastic chairs and like try and urge you to come over.
Yeah.
And it's just it's half a dozen girls in front of each one. And I don't know. I mean, you see the archetype of the people that go in, and before I even describe it, you're going to know who I'm describing. But it's an old guy who is probably a single American dude who can't cut it here and find a suitable partner, and so he just goes and burns his money getting carnal pleasure, right? Because he's a shit person who, I
always felt like Thailand is like Vegas is a place for gamblers to go. Like Thailand is a place for pedophiles to go.
Oh man. Maybe I didn't see many pedophiles out there. I don't know if you can spot one.
Because you're not considered one out there.
That's true. You're just one of the tourists.
Right.
It's weird because it also has like the most beautiful beaches ever. Like Phuket has some fantastic
it's super clean
spots.
out there, right? Like,
relatively clean. I mean, it's not like.
Well, yeah, everyone there has post-nut clarity, dude. They're just
picking up trash. Yeah, you just see the tourists start like cleaning up the streets.
You know
what am
what?
I doing, dude?
yeah. No one's
felt so good.
nobody's sexually frustrated out there.
Yeah, no, but it's
backlog.
Very cheap. Like it's a great affordable place. The food's fantastic. I think in terms of like combat sports, Thailand is a really good idea for people to go train in for a couple months, especially if you have maybe some financial issues here. Like you can go and live at Tiger Muay Thai or Bang Tao or one of these established.
Did you visit any of those places?
I did. I went to Tiger Muay Thai and I went to Bang Tao. We got a session with one of the TMT coaches. Did just like a 45-minute class with him, which was a lot of fun, very informative, and you're immersed in this environment of training and healthy lifestyles and like bettering yourself. It's a very, very powerful energy to be around, which was a lot of fun. And like you talk to people, you're like, why the fuck are you here? Yeah. Are you trying to fight? And they're like, no, man, I just wanted a 3-month break from life and my job. And I think that's really cool that there's a percentage of people out there that instead of just wasting away, they'll be like, fuck it, I'm just gonna break off, go to Thailand and learn how to fight, right? Like, I don't know. I think it's cool. Bang Tao, we went. I got staph infection from Thailand, which wasn't great.
Yeah.
I've heard about staph so much and how debilitating it is and frustrating. And I got like a little bit on my foot, and it was, dude, shit was not good. It was not fun to deal with that.
Did you go to any like Muay Thai events while you were there?
No, we didn't. There wasn't any that were going on while we were there. There were a couple happening like the weekend or weekends afterwards, which I was interested in. Like there's a huge boxing stadium. I'm not even going to try to pronounce the names because I'll fuck it up. But like there is a lot of awesome culture there for combat sports, and especially for the kids. Like we all make jokes about, oh, my 12-year-old son has 300 Muay Thai fights, but that's legit what it is. You know, they have a culture that's baked in competing. And, Johnny Parsons, big shout out to the Sluggernaut, who's a UFC welterweight. We got to train with him, and I've known him for a period of time now. And his son, I called one of his son's fights. His son's like 7 or 8 years old when I first met him. And they're out in Thailand, and his son's competing, and he's like 5-0 out there. And they've only been out there for like a month and a half.
Really?
Yeah. They waste no time.
Well, you can get a lot more fights in non-MMA events too, because it's just not as taxing.
Exactly,
and I think it's easier to put on smokers or lower level disciplines.
We did the commentating event at the what's that place called?
Oh, dude! I was just telling someone about this fucking Rage in the Cage events. I forget the venue. Shitty. Where even was that? Was it like Deep Mesa or?
No, I think it was on the west side, wasn't it? It's like the Stratosphere or something.
Yes, yeah, the Stratosphere. The worst venue of all time. Like,
yeah, I've been to that venue.
Why? What were you doing there? It's like there's an Arby's out front.
Yeah,
and
it's like just a big parking lot.
It's a big parking lot. Every other like business is closed down around it. It's the sketchiest vibes ever.
It's gross, dude. And then,
went there for a hip hop event.
Yeah,
that's so stupid.
Ben was just like, "Yeah, come to this. You want to commentate?" And it's like, "Okay." And then like there was like 9-year-olds fighting.
That's Johnny Parsons was at that. His son was fighting.
Really?
I think we called it. Yeah. That was. I mean, it's really interesting how that wasn't really that long ago. Because I think I started Rage events October 14th, 2022, and did that for maybe 4 or 5 months. And it's $50 a show. Like it was not anything too crazy, but. It was exciting. I mean, those events were poorly run. Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
But we had a good time. And I look back on it now, and I wish that instead of... let me rephrase this. I approached it very professionally. I approached those events very, very professionally. And looking back on it, if I went and did that now, I'd definitely be like drinking during the event. I'd have a beer or two. Because I'd be like, this is just, this is shit MMA.
Well, that's how you approach, but that's why you've gotten to the positions you've gotten into.
Yeah.
I was like that with comedy, dude. I didn't drink for like the first 6 months I did comedy. Did all my shows just straight up. Like I'm not just to get better.
Just on coke, dude. Yeah, I didn't drink at all. I would just like do an 8-ball in the bathroom.
I wasn't doing anything. But then like as I was like, oh, okay, I know what this is. Like I don't care if I'm shit faced for this.
Well, I think for stand up, there is that, and we've talked about this I think before, where if you do have a little bit of alcohol, it just releases the inhibitions a little bit. I feel like it smooths the edge. Because even me, like when I've done open mics the few times I have, and it was so irritating because I'm like, I've performed in front of a lot of people on big stages, and this shitty open mic down in Tempe at what is it, Pub Rock? Yeah. Which shout out Cole and that crew, Christian, but. I'm like, how is this making me more nervous than some of my gigs?
Right?
Like, it's weird, dude. So, and I think the one time I did the best was when I was blackout drunk.
That's usually how it goes.
Yeah, I think so. Yeah.
Or at least you feel like you did good because you don't remember.
Haven't watched it back. I won't.
Yeah.
Yeah. There you go.
I was like my peak. That's my Netflix special.
There you go.
So you're not doing any more work at House of Comedy, right?
I haven't done a shift there, and
but are you not? You're still on the staff technically.
I'm still technically on the shaft. The shaft.
Hey.
Whoa.
Hey,
I'm still on the staff, I believe. I get like the updates for the scheduling every 2 weeks when they send them out. And it is kind of like a funny notification where they go, oh, shifts assigned to you. None. Which I think is funny. I'm not opposed to working there. Like I'd love to pick up some door shifts when I can, but I'm just not back in town. Like for instance, I'm here today, tomorrow, and then I leave Wednesday morning again.
Where are you headed?
Green Bay, Wisconsin.
For?
Pro bowling.
Oh, that's right. You like bowling too.
That's sick.
You're getting into these like niche sports. MMA is not necessarily niche. There's niches within that though.
Yeah.
But then bowling is like
supremely niche in the sense that it was way bigger in the 70s and the 80s.
Yeah.
And those athletes back then were making, comparable dough to the football stars and the basketball stars.
Wow.
Like bowling used to be a very, very big sport.
It was like a premier sport at one
absolutely. Point. And it's kind of a shame that it just never evolved or found ways to keep up with the times, which is what you have to do. Your relevance is tied to relating to the current demographic. And if you're not growing with it, then eventually the people that watch your shit are all dead and no one else gives a fuck. And that's kind of where bowling is at. So I was deeply interested in getting on the commentating side of it for a couple reasons, one of which the PBA tour is on Fox and FS1. I would love to be involved with a network getting sent out and staffed to do basketball or whatever for Big Ten or conferences like that. So I figured this would be the easiest way to escalate myself to it, right? No one else is banging.
Some shine and
like no one else is banging on the door of pro bowling broadcasting. Everybody wants to bang on the door of NFL or NBA, and it's like you got to start. You got to start in a different area.
Well, most places hire within. So if you're going for that, you started in esports. MMA.
I did a year and a half of that. I'd never really talked about the esports. I always, whenever people ask me about the commentary, I start with the Rage in the Cage. I don't start with the year and a half of esports.
Yeah, because when we had you on here, you were like, I'm just an esports guy, It was just kind of funny, and it's just like, now you're just like, ooh.
You had just started getting like a little bit of traction last time you were on here. And then since then, you've been, like I said, 2 fights, see you all over, dozen events. Have you been announcing for them, commentating for them?
DAZN. So I've done
DAZN.
Obviously I fought on the Newcastle one in September, and then I did a lot of the broadcasting work in January for their Misfits 12 Leeds event. Missed 13 because that was the Fight Circus show. The dates. This is what happens a lot. Dates overlap, and I usually would try and honor what I committed to first, just because I'd feel shitty if I was like, hey, I gotta pull out because I want to do something else more. Like, no, I said I'd do it. I got to do it. But then 14 did color commentary for the first 2 fights and then the main event. And then I did presenting. So I was up there on the stage with Harry Pinero, Anthony Taylor, who's a champion, and myself. And what's funny is Harry, who's a terrific presenter, he does a lot of like soccer stuff out in the UK. We ran the Open a couple times and he crushed it. And then when we do it live, he turns and he's like, and the man who knows everything about boxing, Ben White. And I was like, damn, dude, that's not my name. But that was a fun experience because we've got Misfits 15 in Houston on May 25th. So I'll do the Green Bay, Wisconsin weekend bowling and then go directly from there to Houston. And that'll be a lot more of hosting the press conference, doing weigh-ins.
And are they paying for you to? Do they pay for all your travel?
Yeah.
Okay, so that's cool.
I can't, like, I wouldn't be able to do, and I'm fine being transparent about this side of it because I don't think many people are, but I wouldn't be able to do what I do unless these organizations paid for the flights, the hotel. It just, like, it would not make sense at all.
Yeah. Well, that's what makes comedy really hard is to elevate up. You need to travel around, but festivals, or featuring or opening, like, you're not really.
You know what I mean? Yeah, they're not paying for that shit. And like, dude, there was a period of time where, again, I was shelling out of my own dime to get to these events, covering, when I was doing like the media stuff as a reporter, going out and covering my own money, the bowling shit. Like, I flew out to New Jersey in May of last year.
What a shitty airport that one is.
Newark?
Newark?
Yeah, Newark is...
Oh, that's the worst place in the fucking world.
It's tough, dude. Yeah, I do not. I don't like much about New Jersey. No disrespect. Some great arenas and some good venues, but overall, but like, I get that's part of the game. That's part of any game in any industry. Is you have to invest and.
Well, why should they invest in you?
Exactly.
I mean, I get that, but and nobody owes you anything in any of this. And
but they'll appreciate if you show up and you're in front of them to some extent. You know what I'm saying?
It was funny. Like, I went and found the broadcast that we did for the Rage in the Cage.
Yeah.
Had like 12 viewers.
Yeah,
but
yeah.
like I was listening to it. You have like you almost have like a news anchor type of vibe. Like, I would say something, you'd be like, ha ha ha, good one, Adam, and then like.
I feel like Adam was trying to get you to break like the whole time. He was just
I was throwing like little jabs in there every so often.
Yeah.
Dude, but that's why it was so smart to bring you to that, and I wish like more. Larger organizations had stand-up comedians involved with the podcast.
Dude, I would love to do commentating for sports like that.
It'd be like, it makes so much sense because you think about, okay, well, what kind of individual is very quick on their feet and can fill in moments and can make the broadcast enjoyable? And what's more enjoyable than laughing?
It's just knowledgeable improv is what it is.
Exactly. Which again, like, I think I talked about this. I did 7 years of improv when I was growing up. I was at the Deering Acting Studio off of 32nd Street and whatever it is, performing every week with their troupe. And so I was just talking about this earlier with somebody, but when people are sort of confused as to like, oh, well, where'd you fucking learn how to do this? Studying finance? I'm like, no. When I was growing up, I did a lot of performing.
Yeah, exactly. That's what it is. You got your push-ups in.
Yeah.
There was a clip of us. I can't remember. Oh, we were talking about on the last podcast you were on. We were talking about gambling. We were talking about sports betting a lot, and we brought up the 1984 quote.
The Miracle on Ice, or
no, the book.
Oh yeah, the George Orwell book.
Right, about like above all, like, gambling filled their horizons, whatever. Like, he was using it to control the masses, and it was like that's just like I thought it was an educational, bit or like a good clip. Someone commented on it because I was wearing a Portland shirt and said something. They said like the meanest thing about both of us, about like being like privileged white boys, like go do some more heroin or something. I was like.
You want me to be worse? You want me to ruin my life worse? Trust me, if I was on heroin, the shit I'd be saying is infinitely worse. You know what I mean? It'd be way more deranged.
What's the worst thing someone said to you on Twitter?
I can't. I mean, I can't even count like a specific. Outside of like kill yourself, a lot of like homophobic slurs, which again does not make much sense. Like,
well, right? Well, they're going off of what you look like.
Yeah, and like again, like I'm very open about my sexuality, but I have a girlfriend. Like I quite literally have been dating someone for 5 months, and she's amazing. So I'm like, when people throw that shit at me, I'm just like, well, that's just you being uninformed, isn't it? Like,
that's where most comments come from. Like, that's just YouTube. It's on all platforms, but Twitter and YouTube are probably the two most toxic as far as.
Yeah, I would say definitely a tie. I can't even say like one is worse than the other because like YouTube comments, it's the same. It's the same core of people feel so strongly about saying whatever they want, and they can just say anything, and they get to hide behind their anonymous account or Twitter profile. But like again, like why would I give a fuck, dude? Yeah. Why would I? That's just part of what you have to say.
That's just part of the game, though. Like
absolutely.
in clips or videos that I've made that had some virality. Most of the comments were positive, but there was always mean ones. But that doesn't the mean ones. It's a good video when you start getting the mean comments.
Well, especially when they're just like irrational too. When it's like your comment makes no fucking sense. The ticker for me is when they just go full ad hominem and they're like, "Oh, you're stupid," or "You look this way," or "You got a dumb face." It's like, Because like what's crazy is I don't know if you guys feel the same way, but I know exactly what criticism would really hurt my feelings.
Yeah.
You know, I know because like there's moments on broadcast where I'm like, okay, if someone highlighted that and said, "Oh, that was a dumb commentating bit," or "Why did he say that?" I would go, "Fuck, you got me. I agree." And so like I honestly, I'm like, did I know?
When someone's like fag, you're like, okay.
I'm like, whatever, dude. Yeah, straight up. I'm like, okay, cool, thanks. But if someone was like, man, he's actually born in 1993, not 1995, I'd be like, damn it, you know, that's
really hope he stayed up late on that one. You're like, I did.
You know, and that's the thing is like, no one can beat me up more than myself, and I really don't value what random people have to say that aren't in the game. Like, if I had people I looked up to in this industry or peers of mine, if they had negative criticism, different story. But like, I'm like, if it's all praise there and they're the ones that are actually in the game with me, that's what I care about. Like, if I allowed every single comment to get to me, and some do, I'm not fucking Superman. Like,
some of them are hurtful, dude. You're like, man.
I guess I have some bad days here and there. I'll go back and forth.
Yeah,
but,
for sure.
But I never come out looking better. You know what I'm saying? Arguing on Twitter and any social media platform, you never look good. There's no point in doing it. Do I still do it? Sure. But there's no point. You never come out of it looking good. So
unless you brand it in a certain way, which I think you've been doing your whole.
Suppose like easy dunks, you know, easy dunking on people, sure. But by and large, you know, because the thing is, I always have to try and remember, you never know what someone's watching, and you never know who's watching. So for instance, on Twitter, if I'm saying all this shit going back and forth, and some DAZN executive is like, "This is the guy that we're pushing on all of our Misfits broadcasts." I don't think so.
Yeah.
Like,
that makes sense.
You just got to be cognizant, you know. Even shit that I said on the last podcast we did, dude. I sort of was like, man, I'm glad that nobody saw it. No disrespect.
Dead ass.
But like, you know, it's about that nature of just really being careful and cognizant. Because these days, you know, with how just the whole world revolves around people going, "Oh, you did this, and that's why you should be, you know, fired." You just got to be careful.
Yeah, I hate that about a lot of things, and then I just don't like to be like have somebody be a boss to me or anything like that because of that. Because I'm like, I'm gonna say something. Like I say a lot of shit.
I'm gonna say something.
And
but I get it though in the sense where, especially if I'm a representative for your product or your organization, I do have to carry a different set of ethics and like and reactions. So, like I'm fine playing ball here and there, and like I definitely walk the line 100%. And I've toned it back considerably from a couple years ago, shit that I would say. But, you know.
Well, even in comedy, it's still the same way. Like, it should be a free speech thing, and, like, it's a private room that, like, you know what I mean? Like, people pay. But, like, there's people who still own the clubs or book shows and stuff, and, like, they don't. There's places like, I didn't like that joke they did. It was racist, or it was this. Or everything else was funny, but that one actually was more about myself, and that's why I didn't like it. And now you're banned from my club.
Exactly. The amount of times that someone at HOC would like rotate out and go chirp to Stephanie or Heather and be like, "Oh, I need a refund because I'm so offended." It's, why did you come to a stand-up comedy show then? Why are you here? Like this, you know, I don't get individuals like that. Like, I think comedy is one of those categories where the moment you start drawing lines on one thing, you got to draw lines on fucking everything, and it's not fair. And what somebody, because it's so subjective, right? One person's style and what they joke about is never going to be the same as another's, and so like, why would I try and police that? Like,
well, also you can go look the comedian up and see what kind of comedy they do, and if you like it or not.
Yeah,
but
like why would you? If I went to a Sebastian Maniscalco show and I was like, "This guy's doing too much fucking physical comedy," I'd be like, "Well, why are you here? It's this whole thing, you know? Like, it doesn't make any sense." So I agree. It's like uneducation, and I don't know, dude. Like I wouldn't. If it was me and I had like a date night or something, I probably wouldn't just like willy-nilly go see a comedy show. Sure. Right, if I didn't know the person. Like, when I go to comedy shows, it's because I follow the person and I'm interested in seeing them perform. Yeah. And I like their shit. I wouldn't just be like, "Oh, let's see what's going on."
Let's just check in over here.
Yeah. Because I don't like bad comedy. And trust me, especially at HOC, there's been some bad fucking comedy. I remember. Oh, this was actually funny. This big shout out to, what was the kid's name? Mason Spina. I like Mace a ton. He's a great dude, disabled, but a great guy. And he did this show. I think it was Cole and Christian's like what was the show that they do? The fucking people in there. It's the Q&A thing.
I think they do like a trivia.
Yeah, wrong answer only or something.
Okay.
And it was in December, and I really wanted to support them because it was their first show at HOC. So I brought out a ton of my friends. My dad came, and it was a really fun evening until Mason just starts going off on like the just dumbest Jewish jokes of all time, and like the first couple weren't funny, and then he just would not stop doing it. And some of the people I brought were Jewish, and they came up to me and they were like, "We got to go," and they left the venue. And they were pretty offended and hurt by it. And to his credit, he felt very bad. He apologized afterwards, and I know he didn't mean anything crazy, but it was such a funny.
That's like funny in the meta sense. Like,
yes, especially in the afterwards, where if you disassociate yourself and you
If you were watching it on a show, you'd be like, "Man, that's hilarious."
Yeah, absolutely.
But you were living it.
But I was living it, and
hey, guys.
I was like, "I'm so fucking sorry. I did not know he
like
was
this."
Yeah, he doesn't usually go in on you guys.
That was like the one time I think it was the mic drop. Mason was crushing for like the first.
I forgot about this. Is so
He was crushing for like the first. It was maybe like a 10, 12-minute set. First 9 minutes, phenomenal, A level.
Yeah.
And then it was a Lamar show. Was it one? I can't remember. I think it was the show.
It was
the one that Lamar and I would do.
Yeah, it was the variety show.
Yeah. So. Lamar's following a lot of black people, so there's a lot of black people in the audience, and black audiences do talk a lot more than other audiences.
Yeah.
And Mason just fucking, he's like, "That's a problem." He said something like, "You guys, that's a problem. You guys just don't stop fucking talking," or something like that.
He didn't have a punchline. It was just like him venting. I know you guys are black because you won't stop talking or something like that. I was like, yo.
Bro, you're going to get shot in the parking lot. They're going to kidnap you after this. He can't run away.
Let's go out the back, buddy.
I've never seen Mason go more than 9 miles an hour. That bro could not get away from him if he tried. But, I mean, credit to him. He's a funny motherfucker.
Oh, no,
I like him
That's
a lot.
the thing. He was absolutely, it was like one of the best sets I've seen him do. But it's just funny, that little thing that like we all remember at the end of it.
Was it like, did it create like a weird vibe?
Yeah. Absolutely, dude.
Yeah, it created the weirdest vibe.
Dude, that's too fucking good.
But I think that's what happens in comedy if you are if you're edgy, and two, like off the cuff crowd work, it either can go really good or it can go really bad.
It's like Icarus, bro. Sometimes you just fly a bit too close to the sun and you get burned, and that's like the nature of the game you play.
Yeah.
Like, you're never going to be 100% in my career. I never went too far in some crowd or said the wrong thing. Like, if that's your style, you're going to fuck up at some point.
Yeah.
And it is what it is.
Just comes with the territory.
Exactly. You know, but credit to him for keeping it going.
Yeah, absolutely. He's a great comic.
He's one of the best out here for sure.
I do wish I could get more into stand-up, though. Like, I genuinely really enjoy the art form of stand-up comedy, and I think like I was talking to Nick Ryback and Cole about this in December, the last time I saw them, and I was kind of annoying the fuck out of them, I think. But I was like, okay, I really like the premises of things, but I just can't flesh it out. You know what I mean? That's my big issue, is I can't create like a full joke for something. Like I had this which I thought was a funny premise of. I don't really want to say it, but it was.
You got to now.
I have to now. Let me yank out my notes real quick. I'll give you because I don't want to paraphrase. It was something about who's the guy that ran against? He was a big fucking politician for Arizona for a long time, John McCain. So I had a bit about when John McCain was a POW, and I thought it was a really, me just saying that doesn't sound like a good premise, but trust me, I fleshed it out, and it was. Stay
with me, boys.
Yes, dude, literally, stay with me on this one. Okay, so yeah, here's the premise. It was something about how I was making up some dumb joke about a friend losing a turtle. I'm like, how did you lose a turtle? It can't, get away from you. And the fake friend was like, oh, he didn't run away. He just got lost. And I was like, well, when John McCain ran away, the Viet Cong weren't like, oh, John just got lost. Like, no, he escaped. You know what I'm saying? something in that vein. But I think that's why I shouldn't do stand-up comedy. Short.
That's because you're going for John McCain. I would go for Anne Frank.
Oh, jeez, dude.
Like, you got to go for something that everybody's gonna know.
That's true.
If you're gonna go for edgy like that, yeah, you got to keep it.
It's almost funny.
Invite your Jewish friends too.
Yeah. Oh, jeez.
I think doing any like anything that's like race or sex or any type of joke, I'm all for it. It's just got to be funny. Like
I think that's the thing, man. Like if people laugh at it and it's in a certain manner, then you get like this big excuse and
it's intent.
Nobody, yeah.
I have a lot of jokes that would be considered more edgy, but I was very careful in how I prepared it. Like there's other jokes I'll write and I'm like, boom, that's a joke right there. I can go use it now. Other times it's like, I love this joke, but it needs work before it, because if I fuck it up,
yeah,
I'm gonna be in trouble,
dude. I mean, it's a game of chess, man. Like every word, every way that you say the word, the pauses, the silence, crowd, like reading the crowd, like it is such an art form that people don't understand. And I haven't really watched much stand up recently. I watched John Mulaney's new bit, Baby J, which
that was really good. I liked it.
It was okay. Here's the only.
Okay.
It's not. Yeah, no.
I like that because it's coming from a different perspective.
I love that.
The reason it's not that I disliked it. I did enjoy it. I thought he's such a great performer. But I just thought it was interesting that the entire set is just him glorifying his drug addiction. Like it almost seemed like he wanted to go back on drugs.
Oh, yeah.
That entire special.
I wanted to rip a line right in the middle of it.
Oh, dude. Which is just like, it's weird and or not weird, rather, that's not the right word, but I just didn't find it as funny as maybe he thought it was to hammer this topic and this subject.
Well, that's kind of how I am though. I'm really there for myself when I'm doing stand up.
Yeah.
So I'm like, it's very selfish. I'm up there, but I'll be funny enough. But I'm never trying to please anybody directly.
No, that's fine, man. Like especially doing self-deprecating or like stuff about your personal life is totally one thing. But I'm like, dude, I've got 40 minutes now from you on this. Like,
well, most people's specials are not watchable as far as from my perspective. I can only watch maybe 10 minutes usually of a special. There's been in the last year that I've watched specials, the only 2 specials that I've completed, and I would highly recommend it. Ralph Barbosa.
Yep.
He's great.
That one's on Netflix, and then Fahim Anwar. That one's on YouTube. He's headline House of Comedy. Dude, that was like a special. He like jumped up the list like one of my top comedians.
What podcast was he on? Because I know, or no, was he was the Vine guy, right? Fahim Anwar.
No,
what was his background?
He does a lot of just clips because he's always working. He's always working on new material, like always. Like on his Instagram, he's always posting a clip of something new, and he's always like he has like that stereotypical with like his notes. He's like, okay, I got one for you guys. He's that kind of guy.
There's a comedian that is doing like the Kill Tony. I think he's got a role with them right now. The Casey Rocket guy.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Oh my god. That guy's fucking so good.
Yeah.
I can't watch more than maybe same thing 10, 15 of his shit, but he's a good breath of fresh air every once in a while.
Sure. Yeah, that's the other thing is, I think that's what Andrew Schultz, how he figured out how to crack. Back when he was a writer, but he was kind of figured out. People won't watch. He's like, I kept hearing the same thing on people's specials. Like, yeah, it was good, but I didn't finish it. But like clips. But then somebody will go spend 2 hours on your page watching 30-second clips. Yeah, and so that's really the game now.
It's clip comedy. That's just the modern distribution of stand-up comedy is on TikTok or Instagram Reels.
YouTube Shorts.
YouTube Shorts, same thing. It's just the 9x16 format is unbeatable for stand-up for a lot of different industries. I mean, even fight clips, fight highlights, like
Get to it. Let me see.
Yeah, but that's also like the downside, though, man. Sure. People's attention spans are just keep getting reduced.
That's the online world. Live comedy is still live comedy. That's for people who want to go see live comedy. But yeah, that's a huge part of it.
Did I tell you guys about the time I saw Dave Chappelle perform?
I don't think so.
No? Okay. This was, I think it was August of last year. I was in New York for PFL because they were doing their playoffs or championships. And myself and 2 other media members, we went to the Cellar out there because they had there was this rumor that Aziz Ansari was going to be headlining because you know how they have those like cryptic Reddit posts or whatever, which I wasn't aware of beforehand. I didn't know there was like a secret. We've got to.
I didn't know that.
Deconfigure. Basically, yeah, and like they give hints to who's headlining, and you can kind of like figure out the code. But they were like, okay, it's Aziz. And so we go there, we queue up, and we get in, thankfully. And I'd never been to the cellar before, but Aziz comes out, does his bit. A couple other comedians did, local guys that I thought were really tremendous. Aziz was very funny. And then they bring out Jeff Ross and Dave Attell, which I was like, oh, boy, we're getting some extra heat tonight. Like, let's fucking go. And then after Ross and Dave were done, Dave Chappelle comes in and does 90 minutes. This was at like fucking 1:30 in the morning.
Jesus Christ.
Dave Chappelle comes in and just does basically the whole set that he did at Madison Square Garden, because it was the day before he was playing the Garden.
Okay.
And so I think that he was like, all right, let me just get one more run of it.
Yeah.
Before I go to MSG. And it was good. It was interesting. I thought it was pretty funny. I had a good time. Kind of an anticlimactic delay.
Yeah, I was going to say, I was like,
there's something to be said too about comedy. It's just like the athletes, dude. A lot of guys, like, they had their prime. When I think maybe you get so famous or you're doing all these other things. Like, even me, like, just starting like the podcast and stuff. When I first started comedy, like, I was just writing all the time, and that's all I was thinking about. But then when you got shows or you got other life things, and you also have a lot of money, you just have a huge following. That's like, you could just say you're on the venue tonight and it'll sell out. Maybe the comedy goes a little bit not as
the
good
quality
as it used to be.
It gets stagnant for sure. I agree with that.
And
completely.
I think it's like hip hop music where everyone wants to hear about the struggle, because comedy is like you're laughing at somebody's shitty life or something. What kind of jokes can I make if I'm making more money than everyone in the audience?
You can't do the same material. It's like Eminem rapping about, oh, I'm in the slums, and you've got like a $50 million house now. Like, I'm
you can't
sorry,
move anywhere without security.
the message is different.
Yeah.
You're not the guy anymore to be delivering this message. So same thing for comedians.
Yeah.
But that's I've always liked Daniel Tosh. That's like one of my top guys. And
He's-
his podcast is fucking hilarious. Like, he's never lost a step. I feel like he's always had such a good finger on the pulse of things, and no controversies, which is crazy. You sort of think about it, like, people that are in the public spotlight for two and a half decades, like he has been. Eventually, there'd be something.
He was pretty edgy too, so it was like surprising not to have something come up.
I think I saw a clip. It might have been from a Joe Rogan podcast. It was something controversial about Daniel Tosh, but it was just because it's Tosh being Tosh, bro.
Yeah.
Where he said he was at like somebody else's show. Maybe it's the Laugh Factory or Comedy Store, one of those LA places, and they're like, Daniel Tosh is here, and he didn't even want to get up, but they brought him up, and he's like, fuck. He goes up and he was like, what do you guys want to talk about? And someone was like, and he was like, what's funny about or something, and then like some lady's like, there's nothing funny about, and he's like, wouldn't it be funny if 5 guys just started right now?
Jesus Christ.
And
Yeah, I can. Here's the thing: is I can see why people would be upset about that one. But at the same time, like, if you look at it, that like the structure of
that's Daniel Tosh.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Like, out of context, that's crazy.
I don't think there's a context that makes that better, to be honest with you. But like, that's why I think stand up is one of those things where it's like you can't. I don't know. You just can't police things to draw lines or try and cancel.
Comedy in general.
Yeah.
But that's how it goes.
Yeah.
Yeah, let's go ahead and wrap this up. What do you have coming up? You're going to the PBA?
Yep, so I got a USBC Queens in Green Bay. Then I got Misfits 15 on May 25th, live on DAZN. Make sure you tune in. I've got a week off, and then June, back to the grind. I've got some sumo wrestling coming up, so make sure you tune into that as well.
Awesome.
Okay. Yeah, we'll put all his places you can follow him in the show notes and any other type of things, so I'll edit out the rest.
Worst ending of all time.
So low energy.
That's gonna be cut out.
Just gonna throw it to an empty couch. Yeah.
Appreciate you having you back, man.
Yeah, dude.
It's been crazy watching you rise and go. Excited to see where you go from here.
Appreciate it.
I want to thank you guys for having a listen to the Funny Truth podcast with our guest, Ben the Bane Davis. If you haven't yet, please make sure that you subscribe to wherever you get your podcasts, to the Funny Truth podcast for weekly episodes with new guests every week. I hope you enjoyed the episode. My name's Adam J, and you've just listened to the Funny Truth podcast.
That is the funny truth.